What drives a 73-year-old grandmother to allegedly orchestrate the execution of her own son-in-law? In this Florida courtroom, the final chapter of one of America's most shocking murder-for-hire conspiracies is about to unfold. This is day 6 of the trial that will determine if Donna Adelson, dubbed the Matriarch Mastermind, will spend her remaining years behind bars. All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge presiding in the matter of State of Florida versus Donna Adelson. Please be seated. We continue with day 6 of this murder trial. The defendant stands accused of first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation in the death of Dan Markel. Prosecution, call your next witness. Your Honor, the state calls Special Agent Sanford to the stand. Special Agent Sanford approaches the witness stand, taking his oath before settling into the chair. The courtroom is packed, with Donna Adelson sitting stoically at the defense table beside her attorneys. Agent Sanford, please state your role in this investigation. I'm a special agent with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. I've been the lead investigator on the Dan Markel murder case for the past 9 years, since July 2014. Tell the court about the complexity of this case. Your Honor, this wasn't just a murder. This was a carefully orchestrated conspiracy involving 5 individuals across multiple years. Dan Markel, a respected FSU law professor, was assassinated in his own driveway on July 18, 2014. What we uncovered was a murder-for-hire plot that went to the very top of the Adelson family hierarchy. Initially, it appeared to be a random shooting, but within hours we realized this was a targeted hit. 2 shooters, Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera, carried out the actual murder. They were hired through Catherine McBanua, who had romantic connections to both Charlie Adelson and Garcia. Charlie Adelson, the defendant's son, served as the operational coordinator. And according to our evidence, Donna Adelson was the mastermind who authorized and funded the entire operation. What was the motive for this murder? The motive was a bitter custody battle. Dan Markel was fighting to prevent his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson, the defendant's daughter, from relocating to Miami with their 2 young sons. The Adelson family wanted those children in Miami, and Dan Markel's legal rights as a father stood in their way. Agent Sanford, let's discuss the timeline of arrests in this case. Certainly. Luis Rivera was arrested first in 2016. Facing the death penalty, he cooperated and received 19 years. Sigfredo Garcia was convicted in 2019 and sentenced to life. Catherine McBanua was convicted in 2022, also receiving life. Charlie Adelson was convicted in 2023 and sentenced to life. The defendant, Donna Adelson, was arrested in 2023 while allegedly attempting to flee the country. Tell the court about the defendant's attempted flight. On the day of her arrest, Donna Adelson was intercepted at Miami International Airport with travel documents and luggage for Vietnam. Vietnam is significant because it's a non-extradition country, meaning if she had reached Vietnam, we couldn't have brought her back to face these charges. What made you believe this was a planned escape rather than a vacation? The timing and urgency. She had made these travel plans suddenly, right as our investigation was closing in on her. She had packed as if for an extended stay, not a typical vacation. The choice of Vietnam, specifically a non-extradition country, was highly suspicious. Defense counsel approaches for cross-examination. Agent Sanford, in your 9 years of investigation, did you ever find any evidence of my client directly communicating with the shooters? The conspiracy operated through intermediaries, as these crimes typically do. That's not what I asked. Yes or no? Did you find any direct communication between Mrs. Adelson and the killers? No direct communication, but the evidence clearly shows her role in authorizing the conspiracy. And you mentioned Vietnam. Do you have any evidence that my client knew Vietnam was a non-extradition country? She had researched the travel requirements extensively and made the arrangements with unusual urgency. But no direct evidence she knew about the extradition status, correct? The circumstances speak for themselves. No further questions. Agent Sanford, redirect examination. You mentioned recorded phone calls. Please elaborate. After Charlie Adelson's arrest, we intercepted numerous phone calls between him and his mother, Donna Adelson. These jailhouse calls provided crucial evidence of their mutual knowledge of the murder conspiracy. Your Honor, we'd like to play excerpts from these recorded calls for the jury. The prosecution plays several recorded phone conversations. The courtroom listens intently as the voices of Charlie and Donna Adelson discuss the case. In the first call, Charlie's voice is heard saying, "Mom, we knew this day might come. You have to be careful what you say." Donna responds, "I know, son. We've been dealing with this situation for years. I just never thought it would get this far." In another call, Charlie says, "The lawyers say we need to be prepared for all scenarios. The money trail is what they're most focused on." Donna replies, "I'm worried about what they found in the financial records. Those payments were supposed to be untraceable." Donna replies, "I'm worried about what they found in the financial records. Those payments were supposed to be untraceable." The recorded calls continue, with both mother and son discussing strategies and expressing concerns about the ongoing investigation. Agent Sanford, what significance do these calls have for your investigation? These calls demonstrate both defendants' knowledge of the murder conspiracy and their attempts to coordinate their responses to our investigation. This moves beyond circumstantial evidence to direct proof of their involvement. Thank you, Agent Sanford. No further questions. The state calls the defendant's neighbor, Mr. Geiger, to the stand. Mr. Geiger, a middle-aged man, takes the witness stand nervously. "Mr. Geiger, you made the 911 call on July 18, 2014? "Yes, I did. I was leaving my house that morning when I heard what sounded like firecrackers. Then I saw Dan Markel's car in his driveway with the door open." Mr. Geiger, a middle-aged man, takes the witness stand nervously. "Mr. Geiger, you made the 911 call on July 18, 2014? "Yes, I did. I was leaving my house that morning when I heard what sounded like firecrackers. Then I saw Dan Markel's car in his driveway with the door open." "What did you observe?" "Don was slumped over in his car. There was blood. I immediately called 911 and tried to help, but it was clear he was badly injured." The prosecution plays the 911 call recording. 911, what's your emergency? I need an ambulance immediately. My neighbor has been shot in his driveway. He's unconscious and bleeding heavily. Sir, are you safe? Are the shooters still in the area? I don't see anyone. There's a car speeding away down the street, but I didn't get a good look at it. Mr. Geiger, did you know Dan Markel personally? Yes, he was a good neighbor. Quiet, polite, loved his children. He'd often mention how much he missed them when they weren't with him due to the custody arrangement. No further questions. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to present financial evidence through our forensic accountant. The forensic accountant, a professional woman in her 40s, takes the stand. Please tell the court about your analysis of the Adelson family finances. I analyzed bank records, cash withdrawals, and money transfers from Adelson family accounts in the months leading up to Dan Markel's murder. What I found was a pattern of unusual large cash withdrawals totaling over $100,000. How was this money distributed? The money flowed from Donna and Charlie Adelson's accounts through various intermediaries before ultimately reaching the conspirators. The timing of these transactions directly correlates with the planning and execution of the murder. The accountant presents charts and financial documents showing the money trail. This first chart shows cash withdrawals from Donna Adelson's account. Notice the spike in activity in the months before the murder. This second chart tracks payments to Catherine McBanua, who then distributed money to the actual shooters. Were these typical financial patterns for the family? Not at all. The Adelson family typically used credit cards and checks for most transactions. These large cash withdrawals were highly unusual and coincided directly with the murder conspiracy timeline. Defense counsel, your cross-examination. Ma'am, large cash withdrawals aren't illegal, are they? No, but the pattern and timing are significant. You don't know specifically what Mrs. Adelson intended to do with this cash, do you? The evidence shows where the money ultimately went. But you can't testify to her specific intent, can you? The pattern of payment speaks to intent. That's not a yes or no answer. Can you testify to her specific intent? No, I cannot. Thank you. No further questions. Your Honor, the state would like to call Charlie Adelson via video link from prison. The courtroom screens activate, showing Charlie Adelson in an orange jumpsuit appearing from prison. Mr. Adelson, you were recently convicted of first-degree murder in this case, correct? Yes, I was wrongly convicted. Mr. Adelson, did your mother participate in planning Don Markel's murder? Charlie pauses, looking directly at the camera before answering. I need to be very clear about something. My mother is 73 years old. She's never hurt anyone in her life. Yes. She wanted our family to be together, but she had nothing to do with Don Markel's death. Are you saying you acted without her knowledge? I'm saying my mother is innocent? Whatever happened in this case, she wasn't part of it. Mr. Adelson, this contradicts your earlier statements to investigators. Are you changing your testimony? I'm telling the truth about my mother's innocence. I won't let her be convicted for something she didn't do. The courtroom buzzes with surprise at this unexpected testimony supporting his mother. Your Honor, this witness was granted immunity for truthful testimony, and today's statements contradict his previous cooperation. Mr. Adelson, are you aware that perjury could result in additional charges? I understand the consequences. I'm telling the truth about my mother. No further questions from the state? Defense counsel, do you wish to question this witness? No questions, Your Honor. Your Honor, we'd like to call Catherine Magbanua via video link. Catherine Magbanua appears on screen, also in prison attire. Ms. Magbanua, you were convicted of first-degree murder in this case? I was wrongly convicted, yes. Did you serve as a go-between for the Adelson family and the shooters? I refuse to answer on grounds that it may incriminate me. Your Honor, this witness was granted immunity? Ms. Magbanua, you must answer. I had relationships with people in this case, but I didn't participate in any murder conspiracy. The prosecution continues to present evidence, including phone records, surveillance footage, and testimony from other law enforcement officials involved in the investigation. Your Honor, the prosecution rests. Thank you. We'll take a recess before the defense presents their case. During the recess, Donna Adelson confers with her attorneys while family members and spectators discuss the dramatic testimony. Court is back in session. Defense, you may proceed. Your Honor, the defense calls character witnesses to testify about Mrs. Adelson's reputation in the community. Several witnesses testify about Donna Adelson's charitable work, her role as a loving grandmother, and her lack of any criminal history. Court is back in session. Defense, you may proceed. Your Honor, the defense calls character witnesses to testify about Mrs. Adelson's reputation in the community. Several witnesses testify about Donna Adelson's charitable work, her role as a loving grandmother, and her lack of any criminal history. Your Honor, Mrs. Adelson has lived 73 years without any criminal record. She's a devoted mother and grandmother who has contributed positively to her community. The prosecution wants you to believe she suddenly became a criminal mastermind. But there's no evidence of her directly ordering anyone's death. The defense argues that the case is built on circumstantial evidence and the testimony of convicted killers, who have incentives to implicate others. Members of the jury, the prosecution has failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mrs. Adelson participated in this murder conspiracy. Yes, she's part of the Adelson family, but family association is not proof of criminal conspiracy. Your Honor, both sides have presented their cases. Are you ready for closing arguments? Yes, Your Honor, the prosecution may proceed. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is about a family that believed they were above the law. When Dan Markel stood in the way of their plans, they decided he had to die. The evidence shows Donna Adelson was the mastermind who authorized and funded this murder. The financial records, the recorded phone calls, her attempted flight to a non-extradition country, all of this evidence points to her guilt. 4 co-conspirators have already been convicted. She is the final piece of this deadly puzzle. We ask that you hold Donna Adelson accountable for her role in this murder and find her guilty of all charges. Defense counsel presents their closing argument. Members of the jury, the prosecution has not proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt. They have no direct evidence of Mrs. Adelson hiring killers, no recording of her ordering a murder, no smoking gun. What they have is guilt by association and the testimony of convicted criminals. In America, we don't convict people based on family connections and suspicion. We require proof, and that proof is lacking in this case. We ask that you find Mrs. Adelson not guilty of these charges. Members of the jury, you will now retire to deliberate. Please consider all the evidence carefully and reach a verdict based on the facts presented. After 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returns to the courtroom. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. Please read your verdict. On the charge of first-degree murder, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of conspiracy to commit murder, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of solicitation of murder, we find the defendant guilty. Donna Adelson shows little emotion as the verdicts are read, while family members in the gallery react with tears and gasps. Mrs. Adelson, you have been found guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation of murder. The court sentences you to life in prison without the possibility of parole on each count, to be served concurrently. Mrs. Adelson, you have been found guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation of murder. The court sentences you to life in prison without the possibility of parole on each count, to be served concurrently. As Donna Adelson is led away in handcuffs, the final chapter of the Dan Markel murder conspiracy comes to a close. All 5 defendants have now been convicted and sentenced to life in prison. The case serves as a stark reminder that no one is above the law, regardless of wealth or social status. For Dan Markel's children, justice has been served, but they must live forever with the knowledge that their own extended family orchestrated their father's murder. This court is adjourned. The Donna Adelson murder-for-hire case concludes with the conviction of the alleged mastermind, bringing closure to one of Florida's most complex and shocking criminal conspiracies. The price of this family's alleged crimes extends far beyond the courtroom, affecting innocent children who will carry these scars for the rest of their lives.